Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. A big win for the Rangers. They beat the Boston Bruins 5-2 in Boston, and with that win, they sweep the season series from Boston. So it was a 3-game set, and the Rangers won home against the Bruins on November 25th, 7-4, a high-scoring game. And then in December, won in overtime 2-1 in Boston, and then tonight, win again in Boston. So Bruins have been playing well lately. Granted, their schedule had not been overly difficult, but the Bruins have been playing well. This is one of the better teams, I will say. And this comparison will be had, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but like based on matchup and just overall, I think that the Rangers do match up better with the Bruins than the Panthers, right? When you look at the Atlantic Division, I'd even go as far as to say the Rangers match up better with the Bruins than the Maple Leafs. Look, Boston, it's a good team. And I think, to be honest with you, like in terms of like Vegas odds in that series, the Bruins may very well even be favored. I don't know if I would agree with that necessarily, but really impressed with what the Rangers did in this game. First period was not good. First period, Jonathan Quick was a big reason why the Rangers were only trailing by 1. But periods 2 and 3 were just a defensive masterclass. And that's the thing is, and a lot of credit goes to Peter Laviolette and just the structure and system. Because, it was one thing with Trouba being out, and now with Lindgren too, and yet, and a lot of it is due to the personnel that is filling those spots and having increased roles. But it's like, in the past, I'd be, scared shitless with Ryan Lindgren out of the lineup. When I found out, how long he'd been out, it's okay. He'll be out, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. They can withstand that. Now, you'd prefer him in the lineup ideally. You would. But yeah, like players are stepping up. Look, even when Adam Fox was out, what did they go? 7-2-1? So, it's really, really incredible and a lot to discuss. Artemi Panarin gets a hat trick. Now, the third goal was an empty net goal, but still, he's up to 41 goals in the season, which is way more than he's ever had previously. What was it, 32 or so is his previous career high? He's got 97 points in the season. And what is there still? 12 games left. So he has just been great. Now, look, we're all going to judge him, or at least I will, mainly on what he does in the playoffs. So, but that's a story for another day. What he's done this season has been just awesome. And, scoring big goals. And he does it again tonight. So Panarin, the big star of the game. But also Jonathan Quick. Let's not forget about him. His 391st career win. So that ties Ryan Miller for most wins by a U.S.-born goalie. So, when he does pass it, which you'd like to think will be the season, I'll definitely expand on that and, kind of his career and what he's done. But Jonathan Quick, he has definitely exceeded my expectations by a long shot. He has been nothing short of brilliant as a backup, and really even more than that. And I'm glad they gave him an extension. There's no reason to think that Jonathan Quick can't be productive. Maybe not to this level, but be a good serviceable backup next season too. So, you go into a game at Boston, not an easy game, and you don't really feel so bad about it, with Quick being in there. And then also, praise goes to Adam Fox. So Fox gets the game-winning goal. And what's been so great about the Rangers this season is the quick responses. I mean, Boston ties it up and boom, 40 seconds later, Rangers get the lead back. They've been doing that stuff all season long. And Fox, it was his 13th goal. So that's a career high for him for goals. And he missed 10 games. That's the thing, too. So he's got it. Look, he doesn't have a slap shot, but as far as his wrist shot goes, very accurate, if nothing else, right? He's not a powerful player. Fox's strengths are intelligence and just kind of waiting you out and making moves and just, that great vision. But he's showing that he can score goals, and that's really good. So, yeah. And look, the Winnipeg game, it wasn't a bad one, the last one, but they just, weren't quite sharp. And they're entitled to that. So just a quick look at the standings before we go into this Ranger-Bruin game. And there was one lineup change that wasn't all too surprising. But as far as the standings go, the Rangers leave tonight back technically in first place in points percentage. Now it's crazy how close it is. I mean, honestly, between 1 through 8, and even beyond that, but we'll stick with 1 through 8. You can even really go 1 through 9. It's within 4 points. You have 8 teams within 4 points, but the Rangers are kind of on top when you look at it from points percentage. They're tied with Vancouver, but technically the Rangers would win in the tiebreaker. But like, there's so much undetermined because when you look at the division, Rangers are still 2 points up on Carolina. The one thing I'll say is that the Rangers would likely have the tiebreaker. It's not definite, but the Rangers right now have 2 more regulation wins and 3 more regulation and plus overtime wins. So that can fluctuate. So it's not set in stone, but right now they would kind of have that advantage. So if they finish tied, Rangers would be ahead. So I'm really looking forward to that Ranger-Panther game on Saturday. We'll discuss that after the Bruin one, but like that one is going to be really interesting for a whole lot of reasons. And it's pretty cool. That'll be a nationally televised game too. So, which, in the past, like Rangers-Panthers, that would almost never get national TV exposure. But with how the Panthers, making the final last year and what they've done, allowed for that to happen. So pretty exciting. But as far as this game, like I said, there was one lineup change. Matt Rempe was in for Johnny Brodzinski, and we knew that might happen. And while I'd say it's preferable, Rempe only played a little more than 5 minutes in this game. So that's kind of the thing, is that, whereas Brodzinski, and look, I think if Brodzinski was in there, the lines would have been a little bit different, right? So it ended up being Rempe with Vesey and Goodrow. And then you had that third line again with Wenberg centering Cooley and Kakko. This is what makes sense. When Rempe's in the lineup, this is the lineup that it should be. But Rempe only played 5 minutes and 11 seconds. So I guess my point is like, players are going to play in that spot. Not that I have a problem with it. And, I think as of now, I'd prefer Rempe over Brodzinski. I would. But that is a spot that will probably fluctuate a bit, to me. I think that spot is definitely up for grabs, but and Rempe was a -1, but that's a little unfair. I mean, really, he didn't have much to do with the goal against. As far as the defensive pairs, they were as expected. Like, they went back to what they started with the last game, which was Miller with Schneider, and then Gustafsson with Fox, and then Jones-Ruedel as the third pair. And I thought that as a 6-man unit, they really did a great job. And Fox was great. Keandre Miller, I mean, almost like 25 minutes, really good. Eric Gustafsson has stepped up, in a top 4 role and done a really nice job. He really has, that's because really in a perfect situation, he's more on that third pair, but he is someone that if you need it for a little bit in a pinch, he won't burn you in the top 4. I continue to like what I see from Zach Jones. Braden Schneider is just getting better and better, and I really want to keep that Miller-Schneider pair. When it comes to Trouba, just no rush. No rush. You don't have to come back anytime soon. And then Ruedel, he's someone that really shouldn't be playing based on the fact that he's really your 8th defenseman at this point, right? Because Zach Jones is ahead of Ruedel, basically. And so, Ruedel, what I'm trying to say is Ruedel is like a 7th or 8th defenseman that from time to time as your 6th is not bad. Held his own. He's not great, but he hasn't been to the point where it's like, wow, this guy's terrible, which was kind of the report from Penguins fans. It's like, hey, Vanilla, nothing spectacular, but you're not really going to notice much out there, which for a depth defenseman is quite all right. So let's get into this one. First period, really, I've seen worse. I have seen worse first periods for the Rangers, but yeah, this one wasn't great. Actually, very early on, they had their opportunities, and then it kind of got away from them more so. So it wasn't the actual beginning. It was 50 seconds in, Brandon Carlo high sticks Alexis Lafreniere. So Lafreniere, just the offensive creativity and drive that he's provided is really, really exciting. It really is. And it's and the fact that it's continuing, right? I know he is in his 4th season now, but he's not tiring out. He looks fresh. It's really, really encouraging to see. And honestly, I wish Lafreniere could be in that first power play unit. He really should be. But I understand why he's not. And the Rangers don't score on this power play. So, that's one thing to just consider, is that the first power play unit, while it's low on the lists of concerns, it has not been great and certainly not consistent. So the Rangers don't score. That would be the Rangers' only power play of the night. And then at the 6-minute mark, Adam Fox hooks Charlie Coyle. And what I'll say about that, because that was the first of 2 penalties by Fox. Fox has been taking a lot of penalties lately. Similar to what I talked about with Kakko, Fox is not one for a defenseman. He's not one to normally take too many penalties, but it has happened lately. And I actually think that Fox has been playing some of his best hockey in general lately. But with that said, a penalty where the Rangers do kill it off. But 4 seconds after it expires, Jake DeBrusk scores his 18th goal of the season from Frederick and Brazeau. So, Quick made a bunch of great saves, and eventually it was just too much. And DeBrusk was in too good of a spot and is able to score. And just before that, bit of a rough game, and rough is maybe not the right word, but Vincent Trocheck, just before that, had a kind of a mini 2-on-1, and the play was shot, especially because Barclay Goodrow was the one to his left. But even if it had been a superstar, they gave him the shot, and he decides to pass it and doesn't work out. And then a little bit after, the Bruins score. And then even after that, Trocheck had a nice setup from Gustafsson, where Trocheck tries to kind of redirect the puck, little, slight play, and unfortunately goes wide past Jeremy Swayman, who was in net for the Bruins. And I thought Swayman was not great. I wonder what Bruins fans feel on that, but I feel like Swayman could have been better. I certainly think that Jonathan Quick outplayed him in this game. But yeah, that makes it 1-0. And then at 15:56, Chris Kreider trips Hampus Lindholm, and the Rangers kill that off. And Kreider, it's interesting. I feel like there's more to give from Kreider, but yet, his stats are really, really good. Honestly, across the board. If you were to just look at that, and that on its own, extremely impressive in terms of goals, points, plus minus, but yet, just based on the eye test, I do think that Kreider, and look, maybe he's kind of saving it, although this is a big game against Boston for sure. So I don't know. I just feel like there's more to give there. And I'm not sure if others feel that way. I'm not. Look, I think he's had a good season. So it's not about that, but just lately. So Rangers are trailing 1-0, and that would be the score at the end of 1. I did not think the Rangers had a great first period. Like I said, got up to a decent start, and then from there it was really all Boston. But Quick made some good saves, and Boston was kind of in control of the game. It was only a 1-0 lead. But we go to the second period, and things start to turn. Not necessarily right away to start the second, but as it goes on, the Rangers got a little bit better and better, and ultimately they tied up, and it was a goal by Panarin. So his 39th goal of the season from Schneider and Lafreniere at 7:58. So a nice play by Lafreniere. That's the thing. Lafreniere is winning battles to make plays happen and develop. And so what happens is Lafreniere is able to kind of get a stick on it, and Braden Schneider. And Schneider is showing a lot more confidence in the offensive zone, and you're seeing that this isn't really necessarily some guy that's like a third pair defenseman guy. There is an offensive part of his game. Look, he's never going to be anything spectacular, but he can show it. And we've seen good chemistry. Now, obviously, Artemi Panarin is one of the greatest players in the game, best playmakers. But ever since Schneider got called up, him and Panarin have specifically had some pretty good chemistry. Schneider sets up Panarin. He gets the shot off, and it just kind of somehow trickles through Swayman. I think it's one they like to have back, but it ties it up at 1. Then at 17:03, Fox, another penalty. He high sticks Brazeau, but the Rangers not only kill it off, right? And that was a big spot towards the end of the second. They actually score. At 19:25, Panarin again. It's his 40th goal of the season, and it's unassisted. And this was kind of a freaky sort of lucky bounce where Panarin takes the shot, it goes off the defenseman, and then again, somehow it goes kind of through Swayman. So it wasn't pretty, but you'll take it. And again, the idea there is, Panarin being around the net, being in those areas to have a chance to do it, right? Because when it comes to luck, if you put yourself in position for luck to be had. So that makes it 2-1. And also credit to Alex Wenberg, who I believe might have caused a turnover that led to that. And so, with Wennberg and Roslovic, it's not always going to show up on the score sheet, but I do like what both have provided. Those have been good acquisitions that have really helped this team, whether you see it in terms of goals and assists or you don't. It's been a definite improvement. So Rangers have a 2-1 lead going into the third, but the Bruins tied up fairly early in the third at 3:17. Justin Brazeau, who had a really good game for Boston, a goal and an assist. He drew a penalty, gets a goal, assisted by Marchand and Boquist. So what happens is I think the shot by Marchand kind of trickles through quick, and Brazeau just kind of easily taps it in. The fourth line was on for this one, and you don't love that, but it happens. And they tied up at 2, Boston. And so you're thinking right at that point, all right, like, going to be in for one, but the Rangers do what they do, and it's the quick response, and it's Adam Fox. Fox at 3:57 wires one home, his 13th of the season from Gustafsson and Zibanejad. So nice passing play with that line. Roslovic was involved, but it goes from Zibanejad to Gustafsson to Fox on the right side, and, kind of saying to his boy McAvoy, who looked pretty good on the shift before, I believe. It's like, hey, I see that, and now you got this. So Rangers take a 3-2 lead there and then do a really nice job of just not so much sitting back. Is there a little bit of sitting back going on? Yes, there is. But I thought they kind of, towed the line where they try to be responsible, but also the play was in Boston's zone for sure as well. Ultimately, you get a 6-on-5 situation. They pull Swayman, and the Rangers are able to gain possession of it. It was getting a little bit scary, right? You got Marchand, you got Pasternak. Who knows what could happen in that situation? We've seen Boston score in spots like that a lot. But Mika is able to get the empty net goals. 23rd goal of the season from Kreider and Trocheck. So those are the 3 forwards that were on. They're able to get the puck. Little 3-on-1 situation, and Mika from the offensive blue line scores, makes it 4-2. And then for good measure, because, Panarin's got to get that hat trick. With the goalie pulled again, he does. He gets the hat trick. It's his 41st goal of the season, and Adam Fox gets the assist. Rangers win 5-2. So like I said, they win. They sweep the season series. Rangers get 6 points out of a possible 6. Boston gets 1. And yeah, so you got to feel good about your chances if you play Boston. I'm not going to say you're going to beat them, but you got to feel okay based on what we've seen this season. And yeah, I do feel that way. I do feel as if the Rangers play the Bruins, there's every reason to think that they can certainly win that series, right? It's not one that you should be scared of. Now, moving forward to the next game, and this is a really, really big one in many, many ways. It's Rangers home against the Panthers. Now, the Rangers played the Panthers, a couple weeks ago, right? 2 to 3 weeks ago, early March. And it was a close game, pretty good game, and the Panthers won. Not a great goal by Igor, right? That Lomberg goal that kind of went, maybe ricocheted off Trouba slightly. That was actually Trouba's, I think that might have been Trouba's last game he had played before going on the shelf, if memory serves me correct. But yeah, Igor's going to be in net for this one. Florida is coming off a loss tonight, a 3-0 loss versus Nashville where they were shut out. So that does have me concerned, but look, I thought the Bruins might get the win tonight based on the fact, okay, here it is. And the situations are very similar. Here it is, the Rangers are going for the 3-game sweep. It's not like the sample size is huge, but the Rangers got it. And so the Panthers are going to try to do the same thing. And they certainly might. But as it pertains to the overall standings and the President's Trophy and coming in first in the Eastern Conference, this Florida game is massive. It's going to be a good one for sure. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. It's an ABC nationally televised game. Panthers 45-20-4, Rangers 46-20-4. Vegas, the Rangers didn't beat this year. The only team besides them, and that's just 2 games versus the West that the Rangers have not beat, is the Florida Panthers. And if they lose to them, that'd be 0-3. And you don't want that, right? Especially because that's a team that you could face come Eastern Conference final time if it gets there. So considering the Rangers are playing so well, and considering that the Rangers are in a really, the record's great, they're in first place in the division, even though it's close. That all said, this is a really big game, as far as I'm concerned, because I still view the Panthers as probably the cream of the crop in the NHL. Not by a wide margin. And if we just want to keep it to the Eastern Conference, we can do that. And I think the Panthers are certainly, one, at worst 2 in this conference. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. The Panthers are going to be coming out strong, coming off this loss to Nashville. And they've hit the skids a little bit. They have lately. Since the Rangers played them, like they were really red hot at the time. They've cooled off just a little bit, but they'll be ready to go. So expect that to be Bobrovsky versus Shesterkin. I'm sure that both of them will be ready to go there. And yeah, so definitely looking forward to that game, and it has a lot of meaning in the standings overall, because I think, if the Rangers can get that, I'm not even talking about President's Trophy, but if they can get the number 1 spot in the Eastern Conference, that could be very advantageous, as opposed to landing, let's say the Rangers win the division, but not coming first in the conference, then you're going to play the Lightning. And it's just tougher, right? I think you can definitely beat the Lightning, but the difference between Tampa and, let's say, Detroit or Washington or Philly or whoever it may be, it's a big, big difference. So it is in the Rangers' best interest to win the game, and you have Carolina kind of breathing down their neck as well. So we'll see what happens. But thanks to Artemi Panarin's hat trick, Jonathan Quick with his 391st win, Adam Fox the game-winning goal, the Rangers go to Boston, and they've won 3 of 3 versus the Bruins this season. A great, great effort, especially in the second and third period. And yeah, Rangers win it by a score of 5-2.